Hello and welcome back to this channel where today I thought I'd do a little bit of a different video. Basically, I like to always talk about culture, language, traveling, that type of thing, and they all sort of connect into one, as well as with like geography as well. So those four things typically all combine into one as like if you like one, you probably like the others as well that go with it. And that's no exception for me. I really like geography and traveling and culture and languages. And I sometimes talk about languages on this channel. Essentially today I just thought I'd do a little video really just showing what I'm doing at the moment to try and better improve my language learning skills, especially in languages that I've been trying to learn for a bit longer than others, such as Spanish, which is like my main one really. Just like in general, Spanish has been a language that I've tried to sort of learn for like 10 years, but not quite. So essentially in like 2010, or maybe even 2009 now that I think about it. I first had a lesson in Spanish when I was in school, and I literally knew nothing about the language at the time. Basically, I literally knew nothing. So when I saw the words like hola and uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, seis, etc., you learn the numbers. You say hello, ¿cómo estás? Me llamo. I was like, okay, this seems like a really nice language. I much prefer it to French, which was what I was learning previously to this, and the only thing I really wanted to do actually was learn something other than French in a language. I, at the time, and still am, was a really big fan of a band called Rammstein, which is a German metal band. So naturally, I wanted to try and learn German. However, in school, they would pick basically your side, whether they were doing German or French. But you couldn't swap over, so I was stuck with French, which sucked. I tried to ask teachers if I could learn German, but they wouldn't let me. And then that's when I found this language, Spanish, which I never really thought about Spanish before, but the moment I really saw the language, I really liked it and I wanted to learn more about it, so I decided to use it as one of my options for my GCSEs, and I started learning Spanish throughout the next 3 years. The later in 2010, in like May, June time, I think it was in May time, I actually went to Barcelona on a school trip, and we spent like 4 days in Barcelona, and I really enjoyed just my time there in Barcelona and in Spain. And ever since, I always liked going back to Spain. The culture I've learnt more about over the years and whatnot. I've learnt over the years as well that Spanish is actually spoken in South America as well as just Spain. It's sort of spoken in the Philippines and maybe other areas of the world as well. It's actually a language that has more natural speakers than English itself, just because of the amount of countries that speak Spanish as a first language. All of this I came to learn later on after I already discovered that I liked the language. So fast forward to when I left school, I think I got a C or a D in Spanish, which is like in England. I don't even know if that's the case now because it always changes, but at least when I was in school, grades were done out of A's, B's, C's, D's. So basically, A's would be like the best, or A stars would be the best technically. B's would be good, but not as good, and then C's would be a little bit worse, and then D's would be even worse. And it goes all the way A, B, C, D, E's, F's. There was like U's and Z's and stuff. Basically means unattended. But anyway, yeah. So I got a fairly good grade, I think, for Spanish, and considering when I was in school, like most school kids, you'd still mess around even if you was interested in the subject. Um, you still mess around because you're young and you don't know how to focus all your time and energy on that one thing. And the main regret I have really at that time that I never did was actually doing outside independent study. But to be honest, at the time I would have no idea how to do that. Unlike today, where YouTube really is a tool where you could use it to like find most things out. Back then, YouTube in 2010 or 2009, or maybe even 2011, like that sort of era. Now, YouTube obviously was a thing. It's just there wasn't really many people in niches like that, like there is today. It was still very much full of mostly gaming YouTubers. For example, KSI and the Sidemen were quite big all throughout this sort of era. And Syndicate and other big gaming YouTubers. So it wasn't like I could just go on YouTube, find out what I could do. I didn't ever think about the fact that you could use apps to help you. I didn't ever think about anything else like that, or how to like really independently study. I never knew the effects on like reading in another language, watching TV in another language, or listening to podcasts. So I never really learned a lot of this up until, maybe a year ago. But yeah, I left school with that grade. I think it was a D or a C. I'm not sure which one, but I'm pretty sure it's a D. So I did fail it, but only just. Like, D's not too bad of a score, really. It definitely meant that I did something and I knew some amount. And I wanted to build on this, and that was in 2012 that I left school. And it wasn't until 2015 that I would then pick it back up. Between 2012 and 2015, I was in this sort of weird period where I was in college and I was trying to just learn as much as I could on media. And I did this thing where I just dropped everything apart from media. So I just was focusing on doing that and trying to get good grades in media. At the time, and still am now, really big into filming and just making my own projects. And I really wanted to just try and learn as much as possible to try and make really good YouTube videos. I wanted to learn about lighting and camera angles and all this type of thing in media. But again, no matter how much I tried to focus, still being fairly young, 18, 17, 18, 19 sort of age, a lot of like dossing or messing around happened. So that was again the second time where I could have learnt more in media. I still got good grades, but I ended up not getting as good as I could have in BTECs, which was what media's done in. Things are measured in distinctions and merits and passes. So I got a merit throughout level 3s, and then I eventually went into a H&D, which is a university degree course. But long story short, I stopped doing that course. I dropped out. And during the same time I dropped out, I sort of started this channel. When I started this channel, I was just about to move to a different city altogether, or town technically, in Northampton. So a lot of my early videos on this channel actually were of me in a different house, me in a different bedroom. Obviously, as you might be able to tell if you ever watch those videos. It was me when I temporarily lived in another house, like student housing, for like 9 months. There, all I wanted to do was just make content all day, every day. All I wanted to do was play Call of Duty. All I wanted to do was learn languages. And I had this sort of like new breath of fresh air. I just quit college. All this stress that was building on top of me, which was part of the reason why I quit, it just vanished like that. So with all this stress gone, and with me only focusing now on work, which still only had me in part-time, I really needed something to like fill in the extra time that I had. And out of nowhere, I basically discovered my love for languages again, especially Spanish, and it was something just clicked in my head. I think in 2015 I also went to Tenerife with my friends. I think that's really what sparked it, because I really wanted to try and propel my Spanish knowledge. I thought to myself, man, if only I could speak Spanish, it would just be so cool. Everyone else can speak English, but it'd be cool to converse in Spanish. And the one thing that helped me is on that trip, I was actually having this really drunken Spanish conversation with some other dude out in the sort of strip where everyone is drinking at the bars. Out on the strip, I was just talking to these dudes completely in Spanish because they couldn't speak English, and my limited knowledge was able to get me past at that time. And at this time, again, I was still 3 years from learning anything, so I was really trying to pull from my memory, and I could still remember some stuff, and it was really hopeful for me that maybe I could actually learn this properly. There was also other funny moments that happened on that holiday due to the fact that I had this sort of I can speak Spanish thing, but really I couldn't. But yeah, so that sparked it, and then we went to Magaluf the year after in 2016, and again the same sort of thing happened. I really wanted to learn the language, but I just never could. And from 2015 all the way up until, I would probably say, this year, up until like maybe the lockdown period in this year, I was just learning via the same method all the time. So in 2015 I was mainly focusing on Spanish, but I would also dive into other languages, Norwegian, Japanese, Korean, Chinese, Russian, Italian, Portuguese. Like, these are all languages I know like nothing about now, really, in terms of like being able to speak it or anything, or even identifying what words mean. It was more just of a curiosity and more just for fun, looking at these languages. And at one point, I was trying to learn like 8 different languages, which, you know, very quickly just like collapsed on itself because it just wouldn't work. So instead, I stuck to just doing Spanish mainly, and every year I would always do like a New Year's resolution. Really just want to hone in and focus and like basically perfect one part of Spanish, whether it was perfecting the past tense or future tense, present tense, or whether it was something else, you know, being able to just speak the language on a conversational level. And every year I'd fail because I just never knew how to actually learn it properly. So a friend of mine like basically told me about Memrise, and then through that then I discovered Duolingo as well. So these 2 apps are quite popular. So I just really, for lack of a better word, no-lifed Duolingo, and not so much, but still use Memrise quite a lot as well. So I went through the entire Duolingo catalog, which I actually showed off in another video about 2 years ago, just a review on Duolingo. And I said there as well, like, I got through it and I felt like I just didn't really know anything. Like, not that I didn't know anything, I learned some stuff from that app obviously, but it just really wasn't useful to me. Duolingo has this thing where it will teach you sentences which are never going to be useful and you'll never use. The bears are reading the newspapers, for example. So yeah, for like the longest time I was on Duolingo just using this app constantly, thinking this is what I need to do in order to like understand the language. And the thing is with Duolingo, you do it for like maybe 10-15 minutes a day. Some days I was doing it for like 2 hours, some days I'd do it for 5 minutes. It was quite inconsistent. But at one point I was on about 80 to 85 day streak, and then, you know, again I just gave up because of burnout more than anything. But yeah, Duolingo taught me some bits but not really that much. And I don't know, like I then just stopped again. I didn't really know what to do with my Spanish studies. And then about a year ago, so coming up to the end of 2019, I went to Florida, and basically there was a lot of Spanish speakers, and I saw Spanish written in various places that, you know, you might or might not expect. Welcome signs into Walmarts and stuff like that. So a year ago, I ended up purchasing myself from a Walmart in somewhere in Florida a random book in Spanish. I haven't read it because I've tried to read it, but the thing is, the language is way too difficult. It's something that I need to work towards. Un extraño en casa, it's called, and I've no idea what the book's about. An alien in my house, or a foreigner, something along those lines, in my house, or in casa. Yeah, so I just bought that book randomly. It looked like the best one out of the bunch in a Walmart that I just went into randomly. Bought the book for like $10 or something like that. And I thought to myself, right, all I'm going to do is get this book and go through page by page. And every page I don't understand, translate it, highlight words and stuff like that. And though I've sort of adopted that sort of tactic in a different way, it's not something that I've done with this book yet. I really want to read this book when my Spanish improves more so than it is now. Yeah, again, I came back, looked at this book, thought, can't do this, and then just, again, stopped for a while. At the moment, I've been learning Spanish quite well and quite consistently for a number of months, and I would really put it down to one person I found on YouTube who just gives the motivation I need in order to actually learn it through his videos. This person is called Robin McPherson, and I'll put his link down in the description below in case any of you are like interested in like his channel, because I genuinely think that a lot of his tactics that he uses in order to learn a language genuinely work. There's something about what he does in practice and then what he like tells you in a video. If you take those tactics that he tells you and just use them and try your best to actually learn them, it's still a lot. to learn, obviously, and like learning an entire language is never easy, and he never makes it out to be. But just employing some of those tactics that he's given me, as well as other people who watch his videos, really has helped me just understand the language better. It's helped me understand how to learn a language better. And like, I think it's sort of like having a tutor, but not quite, because he doesn't teach you the language. He teaches you how to learn a language. And that might sound weird to some people, but like to me, you know, that it's just something that's really helped me in my language studies, and even after Spanish, when I hopefully do one day get to a conversational level and hopefully above, I can then employ it to future languages that I would like to properly learn. Like, for example, Polish, Korean, maybe Japanese, depends on how much I can learn in my lifetime, to be honest. So some of those tactics he's spoken about, like, are just from simple things like transcribing, reading through, highlighting words that you don't know, reviewing them, doing flashcards. And some of them you're like, all right, I've heard this before, but he will take something that you've heard before and then put like a little spin on it, and then all of a sudden, like, there's something that clicks in your brain, and it's like, that works a lot better than the previous tactic you might have heard of. For example, flashcards. Flashcards are just boring when you're just doing it because, whatever. You're just seeing these different words, and, amarillo, yellow, azul, blue. It's really boring to do it that way. But like, he typically will find phrases and sentences that he will then flashcard, and he will flashcard them himself if he doesn't know what they mean. So it's personalized to him, and he's doing whole sentences and whole phrases rather than individual words. So you're understanding words in context, you're understanding words with other words, so you get the gender right, and you understand how things are just used. Like, it's hard to explain to someone who might not know another language. Like, you might not, watching this video, you might not understand how other languages work. But there's a lot of things that other languages use that English doesn't. Hence, things like gender, for example. So that's just one way how, like, he's used flashcards, and I personally haven't done any flashcarding yet, but I know that it would probably work. Just off of like other people in the comments saying how much that has helped him. In particular, he always talks about Anki as a flashcard app. So again, never used it, but I know it must probably work. Another thing that he does is something called a language tracking sheet. I've basically done the same thing as he has, but then done it to a different style that more suits me. So a language tracking sheet is essentially a sheet of paper where you put down what you want to learn, and then you highlight as you've completed these different tasks. That way you can visually see how far you've come in this language in terms of how much you've learned. If I show you what I mean, you might then understand the concept if you don't already. So this one here, this is my Babel learning sheet. So you've got Babel in Espanol, and then you've got all the green highlighted sections, and then you've got all the orange highlighted sections. The orange highlighted sections are basically the like titles on Babel. It's like newcomer, grammar, that type of thing. All the way, the entire course is on here. The green highlighted section is how much I've done. So I haven't done that much. And you can see here, if it focuses, I've basically numbered them. So each number corresponds to a lesson. Apart from where I ran out of space down at the bottom. So each number might correspond to an entire course or something. But it's something I know works, and it's just something that I will see myself. It's not really something to show off or anything like that. And the layout is, is what it is, because it was my first time doing a tracking sheet. But that was just for Babel. But obviously, learning another language involves you doing various different things, which I've also delved into this year, more so than any other year. For example, and this one looks really empty, so TV in Spanish. So again, this one's a bit neater. I was able to lay out a little bit neater. You can see the green highlighted bits where I've watched the TV shows. You can see the orange where it's the TV show series 1, 2, 3, or the actual TV show name itself. And yeah, you can see up here we have La Casa de Papel, you have Ingobernable, you have whatever is down here that I can't read, the Reina del Sur even, I think it is. You have other ones, and essentially I will watch all of La Casa de Papel, then I'll watch the Ingobernable series, and then these series here and here are just there just for when I need to watch them, and when I've watched all the other series, when I've run out of series to watch, there's always Falsa Identidad to watch here, and there's 91 episodes in one season, so I know that, so I can watch 91 episodes in a row, which it's about 91 hours worth of Spanish intake, which essentially is the idea, to try and input loads and loads and loads of the language you're trying to learn. Same way a kid would learn a language, by listening to its mother or other people talking to it constantly. So in the same way a baby learns a language, you're trying to learn it by listening like a bunch. After that, I haven't gone much further with my Spanish. Like you can see, I've tried to start books. So as you can see there, essentially there are books I've started reading in Spanish. As you might have seen throughout this video, there are 3 books here. These are actually in English. These are just books that I read just for fun, and I have other books as well. Reading in general is something I've really gotten into this year more than any other year, and it's really down to autobiographies, making it more fun for me to actually enjoy and read. It all came off of when I read Ozzy Osbourne's autobiography like about a year ago, and it was like super funny, and from there I just started reading other autobiographies from other artists who I enjoy. Red Hot Chili Peppers singer Anthony Kiedis, I've read his autobiography. I've read the singer of Judas Priest, Rob Halford, I've read his autobiography as well. Yeah, so I've got these books here. I've got other books as well up on my shelf, and so along with enjoying the reading aspect, I've decided to try and start reading in Spanish as well, because again, you're just reading all these words, and I don't understand a lot of it, but the idea is that you just read and read and read, you get all this input, and it helps you to identify these words, because reading is such a good way to actually identify them. And to further back it up, to try and help me even more, I tend to speak and read out the words as I'm reading, but sometimes I don't. It just depends on if I can be bothered to. But yeah, I mean, if I'm speaking and reading, then that's 2 birds, 1 stone. You know, in the same hour, you've done twice as much learning because you're speaking as well as reading. Yeah, when I'm watching the Spanish shows, I've got Spanish subtitles with Spanish speech. So I'm just like indulging in all of this, and it's a nice way for me to try and pick up how much I've actually like learned just from watching this TV series without any context at all. I'm just learning it via what I already know in Spanish and trying to pick up little bits, so trying to learn words through context. So yeah, I mean, that's the main thing I've employed so far. Listening to podcasts as well. I'll be listening to more podcasts in Spanish as I progress. But then, yeah, I mean, that's basically the main thing. The tracking sheet, I think, works really well, and I like the idea of it, and I like that it can look really nice and professional once it's all coloured in. Mine are quite empty, but if you watch someone like Robin, who again, link in the description, then you would understand what maybe a full tracking sheet would look like. And again, it's all personalised to yourself, depending on, obviously, what you want it to be like. I decided to just go for the green and orange contrast, just so it's easier to see what's what. But as I said earlier, Spanish isn't my only language that I'm trying to learn right now. It's the main one. It's the only one right now that I want to be able to learn to a really good level, just because realistic goals and stuff. But I mean, Polish is another language that I've recently wanted to try and learn to at least a conversational level. Maybe not even that much, because it's a super difficult language, but as much as I can would be really nice, because from my road trip in Poland, I just really enjoyed speaking to people in Polish, and I decided it would be really cool for me to go back to Poland someday in the future and just speak with a little bit better Polish, especially in a lot of the rural areas. Like, people don't really speak Polish. People don't really speak English that well in the rural areas. I mean, I had issues speaking to people in English when I went to the coal mine, for example. So, same thing as Spanish, I've done with Polish, and I've just crunched up that page. But you can see here the Polish lessons in Babel. Not as many as in Spanish, but still the lessons, I'm hoping it's actually focused. But you get the idea. You can see the colours if it hadn't focused there, because I can't tell from the small screen. Then I have here my Polish TV series tracking sheet, which I haven't watched any of yet. Like, obviously you can see none of them are highlighted green, but it's just cool to like have this here. So again, I've got a series called Ultraviolet, which I would have forgotten about if I hadn't of just focus on my face again. If I hadn't have written it down and put down there's 2 series of 10 and 12 episodes, a series called The Maya, The Woods, others I can't pronounce, and it's just like when I'm at that level where I can learn Polish enough where I can watch a TV series, then I've got these written down and ready for me to go. I don't need to wait and do whatever. I can just look at this, go, oh yeah, that TV series, let's give this one a go, because I've already done the research and written it down. It's like, yeah, okay, we're going to watch this one, we're going to watch it through, see if we learn any Polish from it, and see, how much we can pick up on the series. So yeah, I mean, reading books, watching TV series, listening to podcasts, what else, like watching YouTubers in Spanish as well as something else I've been doing recently, trying to just do everything a Spanish person would do on a day-to-day basis, really. Because they would be watching TV in their own language, and they would be listening to podcasts in their own language. So I've been trying to stick to like what the natives would listen to, watch, etc., because that's how you indulge in a language. So yeah, I mean, trying to juggle that with reading books in English, as I've already explained, and trying to juggle it with TV series I want to watch in English. So I try to stick with like an hour a day, like learning Spanish. And I've even spoken about the fact that I did buy Babel in both Spanish and Polish. Both you have to pay for the languages individually, and I think I'm going to do a completely separate video on Babel, like a review type video, like I did with Duolingo. But essentially, yeah, I really enjoy the way Babel teaches you, because it teaches you sentences and actual conversation so much more better than Duolingo. Yeah. So that's basically just like where I'm at the moment with Spanish, and yeah, I just really wanted to like get it into a video, because for the longest time, like I can say I've been learning Spanish for 10 years, but as you've heard explain my story about the whole like my language journey, my Spanish journey, there have been big gaps in between of like 3 years here, 5 years there, or whatever. There's been poor time or poor use of time in a lot of it, learning just from one app or not diversing myself to other things. And yeah, I just wanted to make this video because it's something that interests me and I wanted to put it on my channel. Honestly, ever since reading in Spanish and watching TV in Spanish and just overall getting more input, genuinely, I've had more dreams in Spanish. I've never had one before, and like within the first week of me reading in Spanish, I had my first ever dream in Spanish, which was, it was just crazy. It was just weird. The dream felt normal. I understood everything that was going on. And something clicked in my brain that I just think like, if I could dream in Spanish and understand everything that was basically being said, that's basically my brain saying that I know a lot more than I think I do. I could probably understand more than I can speak. There are different parts in the language. So yeah, I mean, all 4 sections, the speaking, reading, writing, listening sections, I'm obviously trying to improve on all of them. Not so much the writing, but definitely the other 3 I'm trying to improve on. So that's where I'm at with my Spanish at the moment. And yeah, I really just wanted to make this video just because, again, it's an interest to me and it ties in with what I enjoy and want to put on this channel. So thank you for watching. That's about all for this video. Yeah, that's it. Let me know what you're at with your languages. Maybe if you're learning a language down in the comment section below. If you like the video, go ahead, leave it a like rating, comment. Again, anything. You don't have to be about languages, honestly. You just comment anything. It's just nice to see comments from people who watch my videos and just like comment whether it's first or hey or how are you, and whatever, or feedback from the video. Either way, it's nice to see people coming in, supporting the channel, watching the videos, and really helping me make these videos, because without your support, like, it's a lot harder making videos for YouTube. So yeah, thank you. Comment, rate, subscribe, and I'll catch all of you guys in the next one. Until then, have a good one. Peace out.